hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Rob. See you guys.
Be well. We're going to keep the ball rolling since we have an information-packed webinar today. Our next presenter was in the fire service for 40+ years. He started trading futures on his off days 40 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, here to present tools of the trade, traders helping traders, is Mr. Stephen Tremper of Tremper.com. Welcome back to Traders Corner, Stephen.
Hey, Rob, how are you? Can you hear me?
I'm always good. We hear you loud and clear, and we see your screen.
Right.
Actually, no, we don't see your screen yet. Let me double check that.
There, now I got it.
There we go.
Now what I need to do is pick the right one, because that seems to be my problem.
We're looking at the back end one that shows the slides and the extra stuff.
Do you see this one here?
Now we're looking at the slideshow professionally.
With my mouse? You can see my mouse? That's it. Okay. Well, thanks again for having me back. I'm going to try. This is the first time I'm actually doing this one. I've done the discipline manager, and I've done a webinar on entry signals, but I haven't done one on basically the different tools that I have. So I thought I'd do this one because it was asked to kind of present some other things too. So just kind of shake it up a little bit. So without further ado, just go through the governmental risks that you've already talked about, but just buyer beware, and beware of risk involved and just know them. That's good enough. So basically, as he said, I was been in the fire service. I retired in 19, which allowed me to actually kind of play full time, if you will, in the trade cave. So that kind of works out for me. I did, played around with options and Forex and whatnot, but futures seems to be more of my niche, I guess, or desire. But a lot of the things that I, talk about, these tools that I've had is, everybody has all these indicators and whatnot. And I wasn't able to find something that I wanted, so I just started creating my own of what I wanted. And that's actually the discipline manager was not the first, but one of the bigger ones. And that's when I was asked to share it and become a licensed vendor with Ninja and whatnot. But again, I'm a business because I had to be a licensed vendor, but I'm retired. I'm just a trader, and that's the whole theme that I kind of came up with, and that's traders helping traders. Because when I was alone, doing my own thing, it's a lonely game. So it gives me the opportunity to talk to other people, and everybody wants to help everybody. If you ever went to any of these forums and asked for help, everybody's willing to help you out. Whereas, companies for the most part are limited and tech support and whatnot. So I figured it's traders helping traders. That's what works, and it's helped me out a lot too with people. Anyway, so here I'm just going to give you a brief tour of the site and where to find some things, and I'll show you the free indicators. Most of them are free. A short tutorial of the indicators if time allows, and I'll show you how to, basically we can talk about, creating your own rules in the Helix, which is the latest toy I have. It's a strategy. That way you could, access your own or, execute your own trades. And access to other like-minded people, so we're just a bunch of traders just talking trader talk, so you're more than welcome to join it. I'm always looking for beta testers for Helix 2 and all of them for that matter. Cost, if any, depending on what we land on, and then of course questions and answers. We'll go from there. So let me just dive right into it and go to the home page. You may or may not be familiar with this, but this is just basically it up here is the top areas that we're going to cruise through. My latest toy down here is the the chat group. It's just me. So if I'm not available, I don't have a service that answers chats and whatnot. So if I'm not here, you just leave a message, I'll get it in my email. But if I am here, I certainly jump on right away. It's fun to talk to people all around the world too. So and then from there, I'll just go right down in order here. The next one is the analytics, and this page is currently under construction, but when it's done, and it's almost there, it says it's going to be able to allow you to upload your Helix files, statistical data, and you'll be able to evaluate your trade. But more importantly, it monitors and records the market conditions before, during, and after your trade. So you could really get that's like a seminar or a webinar all in itself, because there's so much statistical data on there, and it gives you the ability to see what the market conditions are based on your good trades and bad trades, etc. And obviously fine tune it, and that's where that all came to be. and then allows you to break out one by one. You know, I have them graded by A through, you know, like a report card, A, B, C, D, F. So the next one is the webinar page, and there, you notice here there's a little email if you want to, you know, keep up to date on webinars. I have these scattered throughout, and just shows you, and obviously you're here right now on this one here. And the next one is the community. Now, this is what I was talking about as far as if you want to link up to like-minded people. All this is free here. The very first one is the trade room. I do have it. I do run some bots. You know, there's no microphone on that computer, so I'm not a narrator, not a radio personality. So it's just bots, and you can see the, you know, market and see what they're doing and whatnot. It's just open for anybody. And I change them up. I don't, you know, I change different bots and stuff like that from time to time. So, and sometimes I'm not even in there. So again, it's free. So it's just information. The traders group is in Skype. I don't have it. Well, I actually do have a Discord, but I don't use it, so I've never been in there. But the Skype is, you know, more activity there. So if you want to use that link right there to, you know, hook up with me, and it's an invite link, and then I can move you in there. There's that direct chat that I was talking about, that down at the bottom right, if you want to get a hold of me, if I'm available. If you need to, sometimes, you know, for technical support, sometimes enough people need help, and it's just so much easier for me because I'm not a, you know, I'm savvy, but not that savvy in computers. So seeing is a lot better to me. So with Zoom and all the tools of the trade, you know, we could schedule an appointment and we could share screens, and I can, you know, help with settings, and we'll go that way. Of course, the YouTube channel, you could click and subscribe to that to, you know, get notifications, because I update, I do videos from time to time. And then social hour, I want to call it happy hour, but I was outruled, and when I did a little poll, and social hour, I guess, came to be. So anyway, that was just basically, we had a couple psychology classes where we had a doctor come in, and then after those were done, they were like 6 weeks, you know, once a week for 6 weeks. And after that, people wanted to continue and just have a place to hang out, you know, and it was really cool. So that's where, you know, social hour came to be. So it's, and then it's kind of expanded. There's not a lot of people that come in there. So if you need to talk technical support, I'm kind of trying to push it that way too. But if you just want to talk to other traders, you know, that's a perfect place to go. And you can just kind of hang out. And if you do have any technical issues, we could share screens and we talk about charts and things like that. Most people, I would say, are futures traders. There are a few options. I don't hear too much talk about the Forex, but there are some options, but basically it's futures. So again, I guess we just like-minded people seem to correlate together here. Under the tools page, and this is probably the biggest page, and we'll go into depth of these, but is the, you know, we've got all the individual indicators and then the strategies. And I'll go through those later, but I'm just going to cruise through the page. The next one up here is the you know, free stuff. And this is just some, there's the Ninja Rankle bars that I like so much. There's some horizontal labels, things like that. There's, I have audio files if you want to have different things and dongs and sounds and things like that. I have all that business in there. I have a good audio video done by Jim Forbes about the futures market. If you're new into the futures market, I recommend that one because I think it's a really good one, and that's why it's on here. And then my favorite disclaimers, you could definitely look at those. You know, if you want to know more about disclaimers. And then the calendar of events, which, you know, I haven't been really changing that page too much, but it does have upcoming seminars. It's kind of turned into a webinar one. And then some videos on how to installs and whatnot. Let's see, the next one is referrals. On the right, I'm sorry, on the left, you'll see lately, I started doing this about, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months ago. All these prop firms that have been popping up, and everybody's trading everybody's money, and you know, you pay a fee and you get all kinds of free money kind of stuff. So these are all of them, or that I know of anyway. I just have them listed here, and I just highlight, you know, what percentages and if they're realized and unrealized and things like that. And this gives you a link to go to their sites and get more information. More importantly is the, you know, the discount codes. When I get notified of a discount, I started this discount code page, and it allows people to, you know, the ones that are offering discounts at the time anyway, I just have it, and it's constantly being refreshed, probably at least once a week or something like that. The things on the right, this is my YouTube channel. If you want to go right there, you can, subscribe and get notified for that, for any upcoming videos I have. Here's the Jim Forbes one I was telling you about, because I'm a proponent of next gen. And then there's Vicheck if you need a new computer. This is a computer guy. And here's the psychology. I was telling you about the trader psychology. This is the doc and docs that have done our psychological training, if you will. And then the ninja ones. Moving on from there is some algo statistics I have under there. Actually, I think this is on the wrong spot, but I have algo statistics. That definitely is in the wrong spot. I'll come back to that. And then the contact page. Oh no, I take it back. It is under statistics. This is under statistics. This is just little videos of short little videos that I've done on different bots and whatnot. So that's I'm sorry, that wasn't there. And then the contact page, if you want to, if you want to give your machine ID and just, be involved in anything, I kind of like to have that contact page filled out. So that's kind of easy. So going back to the indicators, the tools menu, this one here is probably the mainstay. And I'm just going to, slightly cruise through these individual ones. The discipline manager is probably the biggest one. And this is just a little snapshot of it. But in short, it's designed to allow you to set your own hard daily and weekly drawdown limits, and along with your goals, and then it sits in your computer and just monitors you. And once your hard drawdown limits are hit, then you're done. It won't let you take a trade. You can put on a trade, a limit order, whatnot, and it'll take it right off because you've breached your goals. You could try to fake it out and do a market order and get in real quick, but it will instantly, within a microsecond, take it right off, and now you've just cranked up some commissions. So you're just done for the day. Once your daily goal is hit, though, however, you could do one of a couple things. You can continue to trade, but never giving back more than whatever your percentage you want to get back, maybe half of it, or whatever it is, or just be done. You could just say, I don't want to give any back, 0% back, and then you're done. If you try taking another trade just because of excitement, then it'll just stop you and it won't let you do it. So there's ways to manage that, but basically it just kind of keeps you in check. And that was one, it wasn't my first one, but that was the biggest one that I did for myself, because I don't struggle as much, but I'm telling you, I struggled a lot over trading, and I can't tell you how many trades, I'm embarrassed, but over trading, or fear of missing out, had to get in, and now I've totally changed an attitude, but there's a lot of people, and this is how I was approached with to become a vendor, because a lot of people apparently have the same problem I did. So that's how that one kind of came to be. So the next one in the list is the reversal bars. This was one of the first ones. Actually, the version for NinjaTrader 7 was the first one, and I had to get it revised for 8. But basically, this does nothing more than it just shows you where the reversal bar is. So I use the Rankle bar. So I like to be able to see at a glance and not have to kind of guess. I just want to know right where it's at. So there's going to tell me that I'm going to get a new bar at that level, and I'm going to get a new up bar at that level, and that's it. It doesn't work on minute charts. Obviously, if I knew that, I'd be a millionaire. But for Rankos, range, and things like that, that's what they do. Moving on to the ATR projections, there's two. There was ATR projections was the first one, and then it actually turned into the strategy to actually trade for you based on your rules of projections. And so I'll just cover them both here, and the only difference is the one actually trades for you. But the indicator, you could just set your ATR up, and you could put on your order. If it's a limit order, you put on your limit order, and it will plot on the screen where your numbers will be, your targets and your stops. And then by moving it up and down, it'll obviously refresh and re-give you a new count. Once you enter a trade, however, they're locked in, and then they go from there. And it'll trail and things like that. Just kind of shows you what it is. And then obviously the ATR projection traders, the strategy itself just does that. When it trips, it'll go in, and based on your ATR number that you have set in there will automatically place the stops and automatically place the targets where those ATRs are. Entry signals is the next one on the list, and that was this is a relatively newer one. This is the signal generator based on some internal logic. It requires to be established in order to have probabilities, and it's all about probabilities. Due to the nature of the individual markets, though, each indicator has its own set of rules. They're pretty much the same, but they're different. And so we kind of went into different names for them. And we called, rather than just calling GC and LC, we called it Bell. We named them after our dog. So Bell is, GC, and Luna's NQ, Ruby's ES, etc. And that's how and sometimes we'll just refer to as pets or something like that. But what they're doing is they're just representing each of the markets. And here's a picture of what the names, and if you want to download the file, you get them all, and then you can put whichever one you want on there. And here's what they kind of look like. You can see right there's a signal. Now, whether or not you take the signal is here nor there. Here's a signal, and you can see the trailing stop. It just plots where the trailing stop was. Here's a short signal, another short signal, and so that's, and then as far as how you handle the logic is on your own. And some people will use this as a backup or a confirmation of other indicators and instruments they're doing. So if this one takes a signal and it agrees with your other signals, or maybe you're already in a trade and then it plots a signal, it gives you that nice confirmation. Or this one sometimes might come first and get you kind of prepared, waiting for your own signal to kind of hit true, and you can do it that way. So that's kind of what it looks like there. The next one in group was the price extensions, and this logic, however, has been incorporated in the Helix strategy. It's still available as an independent indicator, but I've incorporated the logic and tweaked it and moved it more. I haven't changed it here in quite a while because all the new logic has been upgraded in Helix, the strategy. But regardless, what it is that for you people that are into statistics and strategies and whatnot, you've heard of the MAE and the MFE, and the ETD, which is all your information that you look at based on your individual trade. Well, my thing was, I'm fine, I got out at a target or stop, whatever the case is, but what happened after the fact? And it came to my realization that when I was trading crude many years ago, that I was always getting stopped out. And I'm like, why? I mean, I'm putting my stop where it's supposed to be. Maybe I'm getting in a little too early or whatever, but maybe that was the problem. But moral of the story is I was getting stopped out. But it seemed like somebody called it the Tremper stop, because I would get stopped out and then it'd go in my direction. So I started looking at the extension, what happens after the trade. And this is where the price extensions comes from. So what it does is it tracks the market. And so by looking at this market, you look back and you realize that, yeah, you've got a whole bunch of losers in there. And the ones that would have won, you look at it and you got stopped out by a tick or two. So what I ended up doing was just changing my stop for a few more ticks. And then I was better. Now, of course, you're still gonna get stopped out, occasionally if it's a bad trade, it doesn't go in your way. I mean, that's fine. But I wasn't constantly getting popped out so much. So in essence, you put it on like you would normally put on your trade, but this way you're able to kind of see what happens after the fact, and you can kind of fine tune it a little bit based on what I call as the MAE extensions or the MFE extensions. And that way and then I have two trade grades. I got your trade, which, you got an A on or an F on, depending on, what the outcome was. But then you also have the market's grade. So there's two people trading, you and the market. And so you might have gotten out with an A because you got out, but the market got an A too because it went, or maybe you got out with a B. I'm sorry, you got a B and you're happy because you made some money, but the market had an A because it kept going. Well, if it keeps going on a regular basis and you're looking at all your trades statistically, you could probably get a little bit more meat off that bone. So anyway, that's that one. Support and resistance lines. This is basically nothing more than support and resistance lines. But however, I got a little, support and resistance lines on steroids. I'm big into synthetic data. I don't like looking at multiple charts, and when when you're doing this, so I use the smaller Renko charts, but you really need to find your data from bigger charts. And rather than having a 5-minute, 15-minute, or whatever range, maybe a 30 range chart, something like that, why not have the information at hand? And so what I've done is I've taken these support and resistance slides, but it gives you the ability to add a synthetic data series. So even though your chart is on a I don't know, 8 range chart, let's say, the support and resistance lines can be based on whatever you want them to be. Let's say you set them for a 15 range chart or a 30 range chart or a 15-minute change. There's multiple time frames, but let's say you put on if you're like a minute chart, you're doing a 5-minute chart, but you're also able to put on a 15-minute resistance line, and it will plot a different color. I mean, a little darker color, blue or dark blue, something like that. But you could change those. But the moral of the story is that you're able to set a synthetic data series, so you see that line right in your chart rather than having to go look at the higher time frame chart and say, okay, I got a resistance lines coming up there, and just right there. So that's kind of where that comes from. And all these, ones that I've been, not all of them, but like support and resistance line, pricing, those are all free indicators. This one here is free. This one I like, actually. This one's pretty cool. This is just a status box. There's really nothing more. Like a picture says 1,000 words, and basically, so like right here, this is similar to the entry zones picture I was showing you there, but all it does is give you a box right here. So it's at a glance. Now, one of the key things is that I didn't like is that, well, it's P&L is off right now, but when it's on, it shows you the gross. And Ninja, I've asked, and they don't have it. There's no ability to show net. So gross doesn't do anything for me, because especially when I was in my over trading modes, you could really get killed on commissions. So I want to be able to see, the realized P&L, the net realized P&L. So this shows you the P&L. And then I also like to see, like in this case, it took 10 trades. This is for the day, on this particular instrument. And then the MAE is 10 and the FAE is 24, etc. And then, you could turn any one of these off. If you don't want to see your financials, maybe your spouse is coming in the room and you don't want to see that, so you just turn them off. Or if you don't have a strategy, I could probably turn this one off since I don't have one in here. And even the account, I could turn off. This happens to be an Apex account, but if you don't want to show that, you could turn any of these off. This one came from another trader, and in our traders group, that suggested the time. So I really wasn't, that big on time. I didn't really care because most of my trades are quick. But I suppose if you trade minutes, you'd want to know how long you've been in a trade. And now, since I've gotten that, and since I've been looking at that more, I do find myself looking at it, and it is kind of a nice little tool to trade. So in any event, this is net. So that's all it does, really. It just does nothing more. And you can just download this. It's free to use. So that's what that one does. The next one is the target zones. So the target zone, how many of you, I don't have a poll up here, but I could, pretty much venture to say, how many of you have price got to almost your target by just ticks and then it retraced? And I can't tell you how many times, because maybe it's I was trying to squeeze more, but I can't tell you how many times it would go to my target and then come back down, and all a flash of a second, especially like NASDAQ. So you don't have a lot of time here, and you're staring at the charts anyway. So what I came up with was the target zone. And again, a picture is 1,000 words. So basically what it does, if you have it turned on, you can turn it on and off too as you deem, but you set these up, and this one is set up for 3 targets. So what it does is wherever your targets are placed, it puts this little flag on there. Now you can see the first zone is a smaller zone because it's a smaller target. As I get up to here, let's say there's my target line that I'm, kind of looking for. My zone might be a little bit bigger because it's, maybe a runner or something like that. So I have a bigger zone there. And when I touch that area, it'll keep going all the way up until it actually does hit this. But any retracement therein, once it hits your zone, any retracement of X ticks, whatever X is for you, and each one is, customable. So you could say right here, let's say for instance, this looks like maybe a 2 or a 3 tick zone. So you have a 3 tick zone. So anywhere you get in there, as far as you're concerned, you've hit your target. Do you really care? Do you really want to, lose dollars to save a few pennies? So therefore, once you get into that zone, as far as I'm concerned, I'm in my target. And I allow a very short retracement. I'll give it, depends on the market or whatnot, maybe 4 ticks or something. So if it touches that zone and it comes back even 4 ticks, I'm out. I'm done. It's good enough for me. And then obviously this one maybe be a little different, a little bigger, and you may or may not, you might keep it at the 3, 4, 5, 6 ticks or whatever, however much you're willing to give back on that. Because you got to remember, if you just touch right here, that you're going to be active because you've hit your target. And so now if you come back, you're going to get out there. But again, do you really want to come all the way up here and then come back? So that's good enough for me. Who seriously, who can call markets? Yes, everybody sees the areas of concern for stops, and everybody puts their stops at certain spots and pivots, and everybody puts their targets at certain areas. You're not the only one, that sees this. Everybody sees this. The question is, are you the first one there? So with everybody seeing this, it's got to be called a zone, and that's why I kind of refer to zones. So my target zone is this area. Now, I would certainly love to have this, absolutely. But I'd be good if I just get to this area, and if it comes back a couple ticks, I'm fine. That's good enough for me. So anyway, that's what this one does. And same thing kind of with the sliver. Now, the volume sliver is just, I wanted to look at the volume, but again, I don't want to see 15-minute charts, 30-minute charts and all that to kind of watch volume. I wanted to be able to see what those charts are doing without looking at the particular chart. So again, picture 1,000 words. I use the Ranko at different sizes, but this one happens to be a 13-2 Ranko. But this volume that you're looking at is based on a 15-minute bar off a 15-minute bar chart. So this is the volume that's within a bar, and you could see that I have my settings set it's under my desired level, and therefore it's red. As volume picks up and the bar progresses during the 15 minutes, as soon as it gets over my desired level, it'll turn green, like it does right there. So now we're in our desired level. Now there's a reversal bar on this one. Okay, so there's our desired level right there. And so if a trade sets up, volume-wise, you're fine because that's based on a 15-minute. So that's those. Talk about Helix. So. Anybody have any questions at this point before we start? I'll go into the strategies. I've already talked about the strategy of the ATR. So this is the next strategy, and actually the ATR strategy was my first one, and it still works, and you can certainly download it and not charge you. You can play with it, do what you want to do with it. But I started to I had a strategy that was based on trade management, pretty sophisticated trade management. And then I had a indicator which plotted entry zones. And when I merged the two of them together, I had to make a decision to abandon the ATR or incorporate the ATR strategy. And the decision was to, basically start using the trade management one that I had, and using that strategy and abandoning the ATR projections. Now, I might in the future at some point eventually bring in some of the logic of the ATR projection logic into Helix, but right now Helix has gotten so much bigger. It is the combination of the entry zones and the trade managed together, hence the double helix, hence your DNA. And that's where the name kind of came up with, because the helix is the DNA of your trade. And that's what I was talking about, the statistical data and whatnot earlier as far as getting your MFE and MAE and all that business. So you have, and this has really kind of blossomed into I could probably do a webinar on this all by itself, but it's free for right now. So, you know, it's still in the beta. I mean, it's you know, probably past beta, but it's still beta. Still trying to fine tune a lot of things and add things and code and all that logic and whatnot. And if I'm gonna say it's ever gonna be done, it would probably be wrong, because I don't think anybody's ever done. It's always, you're always adding more, and somebody suggests something, so you add it or you change it or you don't like it. So it's never ever gonna be done. But in any event, in this case, it does allow you to manually mode trade it or automatically trade it. So it defaults to the manual mode, and even the manual or the auto mode, it'll go to the pause mode, because it requires you to, you know, unpause it. And based on your criteria, it will plot the entry zone and not just the line like we had talked about earlier. I like zones. So it gives you a zone of the area that you're going to be looking into. And so when you see this zone, you know, it's going to be red or green or blue. I think it's the red or blue, so depending on which way you want to go. But you're going to get into your area, and then if you're manually do it, how you trade, you could, you know, market order. You could do it on an up bar or down bar. You know, however you want to do it is your business when you're in the manual mode. And the same thing, if you want to just exit, you can do that. However, once it's in the trade management already predefined will run the trade for you. So it's got multiple levels of trade management, and I'm sure everybody's familiar with the ATM, you know, the automated trade system that Ninja has. So it has that. You know, obviously you could set your, you know, when it gets 20 ticks into the money, then, you know, change your stop to this, and when it gets 50 ticks into the money, change your stop to that. But that's pretty much as far as you know, the Ninja ATM goes. So this goes a little bit deeper. And not only do you have that, but you've got, of course, you got the break evens, you've got pivots, and I'm actually thinking about adding another little trinket into there in the near future. So needless to say is whatever the conditions or however the conditions come up with, then it will manage your trade for you. So basically, once you're in the trade, you're pretty much done. I mean, there's nothing else to do other than watch, and you don't have to constantly just be changing it there, because everybody's kind of going at these bot things. There's 5 levels of higher time frame levels in here. So you can, as I said earlier, I like the synthetic data series. I don't want to have 5 different charts, but it actually has 5 different charts in here, different levels and different strengths, if you will, or, you know, just higher levels. And so you can synchronize with those or not. You know, you have the ability to. The downfall on here, which I don't know, maybe I shouldn't call it downfall, is that there's a lot of settings, but I don't really care, because I know what each one of them does, and it was designed for me, and I have, you know, I know what everyone does, and I've even got it in the video here. This is about a 2-hour video I went over. But it's all broken up. If you click onto that page, you'll see how it's all broken up. So if you want to know a little bit more about, you know, the stop management, you can click on the stop management, and it will just it breaks it down to like a 5-minute segment or whatever. That segment might be a little bit bigger, but you can see what I'm saying is if you want to synchronize with the higher time frame, you can click on that section, and it will show you where to go and how to do it. But you know, as I say, the way I look at it is that there's a lot of settings in there, but it gives you the ability to tweak and change. So you can turn it on, you can look to see where your zones are. If you really don't kind of like where they're at, or you want to kind of move them around a little bit because your settings dictate that you want it a little higher, or maybe you want to offset a little bit more for a pullback, you can change it, and you can change those zones so that when the zone does plot on the screen, if price goes into that zone, it's active. And then how it gets into the zone, you know, how you want to handle that is more decisions to make. So just more settings. But once everything's set up, then it's good to go. Then it's based on your rules, and then you are truly trading like a robot. So you have the, you know, the EMA orientation option. You know, there's multiple levels of EMAs on here. Sometimes people want to have them in order, you know, the smaller one in front of the larger one, and so on. And you have the option to click those and mandate that they are all lined up appropriately. and they will do that. Not to mention the fact that you have the ability to change the EMAs themselves, you know, if you want different sizes. And in addition to that, you've got the ability to change the EMA based on a higher time frame chart. So for instance, if you want, let's say one of your EMAs, you want to have it based on a 15-minute chart, you could put it to a data series. You click the data series you want, say 15-minute, and that EMA will be plotting on your smaller screen, but it's going to be representing a 15-minute chart. So that's the ability of that one. And I'm actually going to be adding a fourth one, and that'll have the same ability. Multiple setup options right now. If you're interested in having your own entry rules, you know, put in here, you could do that. If you know how to do it, or certainly reach out to me, I can help you and get you in the right direction. But if you have a rule that you want to have, you know, put and implemented in here, we could do that. I've got a few people right now that, but they need to add, you know, we need to add more indicators. You know, for instance, let's say the Keltner channel, and you have a setup that requires X of the Keltner channel. We could add the Keltner channel in here. It's not in here right now, but we could add the Keltner channel in here. And when it reaches that particular spot, if everything else all aligns, then it would trigger the trade for you. So if we have it in here already, that's fine. If we don't, we could add it, unless it's proprietary, of course. If you have a proprietary thing, well, then obviously it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But any other indicator that you might have, we certainly could add it in. And that's how all these tools that I have actually kind of came to be, because I started breaking them out into components. I had a vision of putting them all together in one, and then adding the components in as they come due. And so that's, as I was saying, I might take the ATR projection, I'm going to take that logic and dump it into here because I like that logic. And you know, some things that aren't so important, you know, I leave off, like the reversal bars. I don't really need to incorporate that into the logic because it's automatic. It's just, if everything sets up, it's going to do it. You don't really need to visualize a reversal bar. So in any event, moving forward, then one of the other big major components on this is the statistical data. It records, as I mentioned earlier, it records the data that's coming in as far as your just recording the data, period. And then when you take a trade, it will log that trade, and obviously it's tracking all moving averages and whatever the markets are doing, not to mention price, and where levels are and things like that. So not only at the start, but also intra-trade, and then obviously at the exit. So then later on, when you want to look at this data, you could look at it, and that's where that analytics page comes in. You'll be able to upload this. You can look at it now, but it's kind of raw data. It's kind of hard to see because there's so much data. It's just, you know, back and forth with, you know, Excel. It's a CVS file, you know. So with the analytics page here, you'll be able to upload the file, and it will convert it into a SQL database, and then you know, you'll have a dashboard, and and then from there you could just kind of see whatever you want to see. But that statistical data is what you really need to kind of see, like those price extensions I talked about. You know, you're looking at you grade your scores, you set up your scores, and A trades are, I don't know, 100 ticks, and a B trade is 80 ticks, you know, a C trade is 20 ticks or something like that. A D trade, F trade, you know, is full stop kind of thing. So if you look at all those F trades, and I always kind of focus in on the F trades. So you look at those F trades and you realize that they went against you. Well, what was going on in the market? If you got 100 of these F trades and you could track them, and you look at them and say, all the F trades have this, something happens, let's call it the MACD. The MACD is upside down, and all my F trades. But if I look at my A trades, the MACD is right side up. And it's like, well, that's interesting. You know, what if we eliminated the ability that if the MACD was upside down, don't take a trade? You know, it's still going to take them only. So you could do that with those statistics. You know, same with EMA. All that statistical data is being put in there. So again, you kind of got to be. It's really in depth, and you got to be a kind of you know, into stats if you're doing that. But you know, it all starts with that. So as I mentioned earlier, there's multiple stops, and that's if you're interested in adding some of your own rules in here, by all means reach out. It might already be in here, or I could certainly guide you into it. Right now there's if you click on this button here, you'll see where is it? Right here, this one here. If you click on this one here, click on Helix, it'll open up to the subscription part of it, and it's going to be 0. Again, most of these just download. The only thing I do need will be the machine ID, because that's a Ninja licensing kind of thing. So I would need to have that. And you can find that on the community page in there, or you could just send me an email or whatever. It doesn't matter. But if I don't have a contact page, if I don't have a contact page on you already, then the machine ID is going to be asked in there. But if you've already given it to me, then just send me a Skype me or whatever. It doesn't matter. If you want to add any other components in. But anyway, right there, I'll just tell you that it's going to be nothing. And now I can tell you right now, this won't be nothing forever, because there's a lot of resources that are dumped into that. And so enough said on that. So anyway, this one here is the strategy overview. That was the video I was telling you about. It's all broken down. Here is one of the stops video. It just breaks it out independently. It's an older video that I've done. It just kind of explains how the pivot trailing stop works. And that's already in Helix, but depends on your chart size and how you want to do it. You would set it appropriately based on what you're going after. And then manual mode. So anyway, this is all video business, but if you watch that whole thing by itself, it's going to be 2 hours long, but it's really designed to be broken up. But if you're new and you're really interested in it and you want to really know everything, then if you got 2 hours, go ahead and watch it. So what else do I have here? So going back to the community page there, notifications. We have if you want to keep in touch with these kind of notifications, I have broken out email lists because I too get inundated with emails. So I'm trying to break it out with my newest toy is the email service. So if you're interested in receiving a specific email on a specific thing, any one of these right here, I will try to limit it, and then that way when you get an email specific to that, it's going to be of your interest and you won't care about the other one. So if you're interested in, let's say, Helix, since we talked about that, you can join that mailing list, and anytime there's something that I update version or whatever it might be, just communication, if anything, you'll get that email. So the other one was the discount code page. This is probably a big one. There is, I don't know if this isn't the page itself, but there's another one of these here for discount codes. And this is the one that, as I said, changes all the time, because these are from that referral page where all those discounts are. That when they change, you'll get notified on that. And then the same thing, obviously, for webinars. There's a list for that one too. That way you can get notified with that one. So from there, we go to the community page. The community page has the trade room, as I kind of briefed on earlier. The trade room is just no moderation at all. There's really not much talking, but if you want to sign on to it, you could sign on to it and just kind of see what's in there. If I'm running any bots or what they're doing, you got to get an idea. Or if you want to tweak with some numbers and you want to run it in live market, we could run it. Just if you have your own settings that you want to use, we can do it. The traders group in Skype, again, these are all free. There's the invite link right there. Just send me an invite and I could get you in there. There's no advertising in there. There's no, you don't get pop-up ads and all that kind of stuff. It's just traders talking stuff. And again, if you want to direct track me, that's there. If you have tech support, you can get my calendar, the YouTube channel, and then the social hour right there. Let's see what else I got. So most of these downloads are free. Not all of them, but most of them are free because they're just tools that I've had for myself, and why not share the wealth? Again, I'm kind of a unique company because I had to be a company for Ninja, and when I retired, I had a company and I had everything all set up, so it was relatively easy for me to do. But I it's just me. I just trade for myself. So it's all this stuff is more social, if you will. It's so when I make an indicator for myself, it's you know, again, depends on the expense of it. But if I make an indicator for myself, it's like, why not just give it to somebody? So I would say the majority of the indicators that I've talked about are all free. And all I need is the machine ID, because it does require that for the licensing software. And just give me that and I'll turn it on. The three that are not free have a free trial. And that is the discipline manager, because that's the big mainstay. That was a heavy one. That one's got a lot of stuff involved in that one. And then the entry signals and the reversal bars. These are relatively inexpensive, but Helix, as they say, is free for now, and eventually that's going to change. But as it's now in kind of like a beta, if you will, you're more than welcome to go play with it. And then as far as today's special, because everybody seems to have a special, I'm just doing 6 weeks of any of those paid items, the ones that I just mentioned here, whether it be discipline manager, entry signals, or reversal bars. I can't give you a discount on free. So, you know, those you just get them. But the ones that aren't free, I've made a special webinar on the webinar page. I put a special offer link in there, and all you need to do is just put in your, you know, name, rank, serial number kind of thing, and send me that page, that webinar special offer page, and submit it, and then I'll turn you on. You just download it. Go download it anyway, because you just get it instantly even without doing that. But I will take this page down on November 15th, which is Tuesday. So you know, you want to move on it if you're interested in getting, you know, 6 weeks of it. If it's free, don't worry about it. I guess you don't have. Well, you're still gonna need the machine ID, but it's no big deal. But if you do want to play with any ones that do have a cost, go play with it. And again, the way I look at it is that, you know, I'm sure everybody's kind of been in the same market. I spend so much money on indicators and things like that, and they're pretty big. You know, pretty big dollars. They're not cheap, and so, you know, it comes to the, you know, the indicator overload kind of situation. And so my theory is that why spend thousands of dollars on something that if you don't like it, or if you need to have a test, because everybody only gives, you know, a short trial and things like that. My theory is that try it, play with it. You know, if you don't like it and it's not working for you, then you're going to stop. And but you don't feel so bad because it's not that much. And if it's free, I mean, how much better can you get it? Now, if it turns out that you don't need it, or you don't want it, you know, you can play with it, take a look at it, see if it helps you in your trading. If it does, great, have at it. If it doesn't, you know, just remove it. It's not a big deal. It's just like anything. So in any event, that offer is available for those three, you know, the paid things. And as far as that special offer, as I say, I'm going to take it on Tuesday. It's right there. This is the link, the webinar tab. If you just go to the web page and go to Tremper.com and you go to webinars, you'll see this special offer right here. And I don't think I have a picture of it, but if you clicked on that link, it'll just pull up your name, your machine. I need your machine ID though to continue. Otherwise, I think they're set for like, you know, 4 days or something like that. And so in order to continue, you'll get the warning pop up that says, hey, your thing's going to expire, or it has expired, and I just need your machine ID in order to get that. So,
Steve,
anyway, there it is right there.
I have to give you some credit. Your new product line looks amazing.
All I got.
But I want to